Get ready for a front row seat to the night Caitlin Clark turned a preseason shoulder check into a masterclass in competitive ferocity. One brutal hit from the Atlanta Dream could have rattled any rookie, but not Clark. Instead, the shove ignited a logo-range barrage, surgical playmaking, and trash-talk payback that left the Dream reeling and the arena roaring. Over 7 savage chapters, we'll relive every pivotal moment. The early floor burn, the instant logo 3, the unstoppable scoring surge, and the fourth-quarter dagger run that sealed Indiana's statement win. If you crave courtside drama, smash that subscribe button now and never miss a shot. One rough welcome. The flagrant level bump that floors. Caitlin Clark's WNBA baptism against the Atlanta Dream started with a thud, literally. Less than 3 minutes in, she curled off a pin down, slipped past the first defender, and met a shoulder check that sent her skidding across the hardwood. Gasps rippled through the arena. The broadcast crew immediately questioned whether it bordered on a flagrant. Clark lay there only long enough for the whistle to echo, then popped up, jaw clenched. Trainers rushed over, but she waved them away, insisting she was good. In that split second, the game's tone flipped from routine preseason energy to playoff-level animosity. Atlanta thought a little muscle might rattle the rookie phenom. Big mistake. The hit didn't just hurt, it lit a fuse. Clark's teammates circled, the crowd booed, and social media erupted with slow-mo replays. Everyone sensed what was coming. If you come at the Queen, you'd better not miss. The Dream's decision to test Clark's toughness would soon boomerang, turning an ordinary foul into the spark for an unforgettable showcase of competitive fury. 2 ice pack, no mercy. Caitlin pops up and drains a logo. 3 still rubbing her shoulder. Clark took the inbound on the next possession. Atlanta sagged, expecting her to reset. Instead, she crossed half court, glanced at the shot clock, 17 seconds, and unloaded from the logo. Network. The crowd detonated. Even the Dream bench couldn't hide a collective eye roll. Here we go. That shot wasn't just 3 points. It was a public declaration that pain wouldn't dull her range. Commentators called it ice cold, but it was pure electricity, jolting Indiana Fever fans to their feet. Clark backpedaled with a subtle smirk, tapping her forearm, the universal, "I'm built for this" gesture. The Dream suddenly faced a new scouting report. Pressure her physically, and she'll punish you from 30 feet. Replay angles showed the arc kissing the rafters, dropping through without touching iron. Analysts on Twitter proclaimed, "Logo season has officially arrived." More than a bucket, it was psychological warfare, planting doubt in every Atlanta closeout the rest of the night. If Clark could rise from a hard hit and instantly splash from Steph Curry territory, what exactly could stop her? 3 savage shift. Clark turns the contact into a personal scoring spree, confidence surging. Clark shifted into attack mode. Over the next 6 minutes, she blitzed Atlanta with a 12-point outburst. A step-back triple over an outstretched hand, a downhill scoop layup high off glass, another deep 3 curling left, and a mid-range pull-up that kissed the front rim before dropping. Each make ratcheted Indiana's energy higher, and each miss by Atlanta drew groans. They knew momentum had flipped. Clark's shot diet was fearless. She rejected a wide-open teammate to take a heat-check 3, drilling it and mouthing, "That's 5" to the stat crew. Atlanta called timeout to regroup, but could only watch the Jumbotron replay her highlight reel. On the Fever bench, veterans nodded knowingly. They'd seen star runs, but this felt personal. Clark's eyes were locked in predator mode, shoulders still aching, but adrenaline masking everything. In the span of a TV timeout, she'd turned a cheap shot into a scoring avalanche, proving that trying to bully her only sharpens her edge. It was savage in the truest hoop sense. Hunt or be hunted, and Clark clearly chose the former. 4 Dream defense in disarray, Atlanta scrambles. As Clark orchestrates with Atlanta over helping to stop the flamethrower, Clark morphed into a maestro. She baited traps near half court, then threaded lasers to slipping bigs for uncontested layups. One possession, she split a double team with a behind-the-back dribble, forcing the weak side wing to rotate. Without glancing, she whipped a left-hand bullet to the corner. Swish. Analysts froze the replay to show she released the pass before her shooter even set feet. The Dream's rotations spiraled, their bigs hedged late, guards miscommunicated on switches, and Clark read every glitch in real time. Her assist tally ballooned, but the real damage was strategic. Atlanta could no longer predict whether she'd pull from 30 or deliver a dime. By halftime, she had logged a near triple-double pace, and the Dream's defensive rating for the quarter cratered. Coaches barked out adjustments, but Clark's processing speed turned each scheme obsolete within a possession. What began as a one-woman revenge tour evolved into a full-team symphony, conducted by a rookie who looked more like a seasoned floor general. 5. Third-quarter flamethrower, Clark's 14-point burst that flipped the lead. Caitlin Clark walked out of halftime with a welt on her hip and a chip on her shoulder, trailing by 7 and staring down an Atlanta defense, suddenly convinced that bruising was the answer to brilliance. What followed was a momentum heist so quick, the television trucks barely had time to reset their graphics. On Indiana's first possession, Clark dragged the ball across her body, hesitated at the top, then launched a 29-footer that splashed so clean, the net seemed to exhale. She backpedaled with a smirk, one that said, "Try bumping me out there." The Dream tried to respond with pressure at half court. Clark dribbled through a hedge, used a left-handed wraparound bounce to set up a weak-side corner triple, and shouted, "Run it back," as the assist dropped. 2 possessions later, she ghost-cut behind an overhelping guard, caught at the elbow, and pirouetted into a glass-kissing floater. The next trip, drag screen, split, left-hand scoop plus the foul. In barely 3 minutes, the deficit was a tie game. The Dream had burned 2 timeouts, and Clark had scored or assisted on every Indiana point. Yet the stat line hardly captured the electricity. Each make came with verbal punctuation, pointed stares, a fist tap to the hardwood, a little shrug to the bench that hacked her earlier. Teammates fed off it. Defenders shrank from it. By the time the period ended, Clark had dropped 14 of her eventual 38, converting the scoreboard from 52-45 Atlanta to 67-63 Fever. The arena's decibel meter spiked, social feeds detonated, and analysts who moments earlier wondered if the rookie would cool off were left searching synonyms for unstoppable. Most telling was Clark's composure between explosions. She huddled teammates, clarified switches, and told Nalissa Smith, "Stay ready, the double's coming." Sure enough, the next blitz left Smith wide open on the dunker spot for an and one. That's the duality of Clark's flame-throwing run, equal parts scoring avalanche and orchestrated chaos. By quarter's end, Atlanta looked less like aggressors and more like survivors, shell-shocked by a superstar who had just demonstrated the fine line between poking the bear and lighting the forest on fire. 6. Fourth quarter floor general, dicing the trap, dictating the pace. With 8 minutes left and the Fever up 4, Atlanta deployed the nuclear option. Aggressive top-lock fronts, full-court blitzes, and a rotating third defender the moment Clark crossed mid-court. Many rookies would surrender the ball early, hide in the corner, and hope veterans solved the puzzle. Clark took the double as an invitation to conduct. She slowed her dribble just enough to bait the trap, pivoted into a reverse spin to split the defenders, and fired a one-handed rope diagonally to Grace Berger for an open 3. Next possession, she waved off a screen, inviting the Dream to show double again. When they did, she skipped past to Mitchell, instantly relocated to the weak side wing, and drilled a relocation triple when the recovering guard overran the closeout. What elevated this stretch wasn't merely Clark's vision, but her tempo control. She alternated lightning pushes, forcing Atlanta's posts to sprint, and deliberate walk-ups that drained the clock, then pounced with a burst. On one sequence, she milked 14 seconds, used a high rescreen to create a pocket, then shoveled a no-look dime to Smith for a lay-in that stretched the lead to 8. Defensive possessions saw her quarterbacking too, calling ice on side pick and rolls, pointing teammates to stunt zones, and rebounding long misses to trigger transition before Atlanta could substitute fresh legs. Statistically, she logged just 5 fourth-quarter points, but piled up 7 dimes, 3 hockey assists, and accounted for 19 of Indiana's 25 closing tallies. The true damage was strategic depletion. Atlanta's coaching staff abandoned the trap with 3 minutes left, opting for switch everything in sheer fatigue. Clark punished that too, dragging a slower forward to the logo and drilling a step-back bomb that felt like a stake through the heart. In timeouts, she could be heard saying, "They're gassed. Keep the ball moving, keep cutting." The fever obliged, and the dream never regained oxygen. Observers often label Clark a scorer first, but this quarter showcased her basketball PhD, manipulating angles, time, and psychology simultaneously. By dictating pace and shredding coverage variety, she proved that the deadliest version of Caitlin Clark isn't merely the flamethrower. It's the floor general who decides exactly when the flames ignite. 7. Mic drop moment, the logo. 3 in post-game message, heard round the league. The closing minute felt scripted by Hollywood, yet improvised in real time. Indiana led by 6. Atlanta, desperate, extended pressure to force a quick turnover. Clark received the inbound, dribbled casually toward half-court as if planning to be fouled. Then, spotting a sliver of daylight, rocketed into her gather from the center court logo. The shot arced into the rafters, froze every soul in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and splashed pure. Crowd detonation. Teammates exploded off the bench. Clark pointed to the hardwood spot as she backpedaled, mouthing, "Remember this line." A subtle callback to the Dream defender who taunted her there after the first quarter knockdown. The bucket ballooned her tally to 38, but the real significance was psychological warfare. It told every future opponent, "Hit me once, I'll hit from anywhere." Atlanta called timeout, yet the contest was spiritually over. On the ensuing possession, Clark poked away a lazy entry pass, secured the steal, and dribbled out while motioning for the crowd to rise. She didn't need another shot. The mic had already dropped. Post-game, reporters swarmed for the anticipated quote. Clark obliged, ice bag on her hip, grin intact. "Basketball's a contact sport. Buckets are my response." She thanked teammates for trusting me to keep shooting, credited coaches for letting me learn through fire, and, crucially, pivoted the moment into leadership, praising Smith's paint dominance and Berger's perimeter defense. Yet she couldn't resist one last wink at the cameras. If you liked that, make sure you tune in all season. There's plenty more range where that came from. From first quarter bruises to a stat sheet mic drop, Caitlin Clark authored a revenge saga the WNBA won't soon forget. Atlanta's plan to bully the rookie backfired spectacularly, unleashing a 38-point eruption and a nationwide highlight reel. Yet beyond the fireworks, Clark's poise, vision, and fearless leadership hint at an even more dangerous future for opposing defenses. If one hard foul can trigger this level of dominance, imagine what a full season will bring. So hit subscribe, ring that notification bell, and stay locked in for every savage chapter of Clark's ascent, because the league has been officially put on notice.